implement the same thing to that Aditya will teach us today. And he's been doing gardening from a long time. So let's learn from him, like about the science behind the soil. Okay. Thank you for coming, Aditya. And we welcome you for in the Tios family. Over to you, Aditya. You can start.
Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel of The Affordable Organic Store. Please take a moment and subscribe to the channel down below so that you may never miss any other update from their channel. I welcome each and every person who's attending this workshop wholeheartedly. I welcome each and every person who is attending this workshop from my side and from the behalf of Team The Affordable Organic Store. I thank Team The Affordable Organic Store for having me here. A special thanks to Madam Anushka, Madam Anika Saku, and Madam Ishita. As a part of my introduction, myself, Aditya Bukka, a plant enthusiast, a nature freak, and a geeky medico, fuses all his scientific knowledge to do the better for the world and better for his plants too. And I am a NEET aspirant who is preparing for doing MBBS and wants to pursue MBBS in his life. To me, gardening is like a serotonin. That means my happy pill. मुझे गार्डनिंग का शौक शुरू से ही बहुत ज्यादा रहा है. मैं और मेरी मम्मा शुरू से ही we used to buy plants and I used to amaze at nature that wow, this is amazing. And yes, past this lockdown, जब मैं बड़ा हो गया तो मैंने सोचा कि why not make the gardening your primary hobby. Talking about uh, the brand, the Affordable Organic Store, I thank them to having me for having me here and to find the real challenge inside me. This brand has all the things at very affordable rate. I had bought some of the seeds from them, some soil amendments, and a few moss sticks, and the quality of these were very nice, thanks to the affordable team. Now, let's begin with our workshop, और हमारी आज की workshop है Science Behind the Soil के ऊपर. So, shall we begin, ma'am?
Yes, Aditya. Yes, you can start.
Okay. So, basically, आज तक हमने जितने भी plants देखे हैं, they are growing beautifully around. Like आप मेरे आसपास भी देख सकते हो how happy they are. Even some of the plants like this monstera is not basically the native to my region, पर फिर भी ये plant और बहुत सारे plants जो आप देख सकते हैं ये बहुत happy है. इसके पीछे reason क्या हो सकता है? You might have seen. इसमें जो बेसिक साइंस है वो सारी साइंस है इसकी मिट्टी, इसकी सॉइल के बिहाइंड. सॉइल कैन इवन ruin your plant or can make it green and lush and thriving all day long and all the year. So, now coming to the workshop. Introduction. अब जब हम साइंस के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं सॉइल की, तो we must know about some of the key points like सॉइल बेसिकली है क्या, किस चीज से बनी है सॉइल और क्या है सॉइल, क्या कंपोनेंट्स है. तो सबसे पहले हम टॉपिक जानते हैं कि व्हाट बेसिकली इज सॉइल. सॉइल क्या है? जब बहुत बड़े बड़े रॉक के पार्टिकल्स when they are moving down from the mountains or they are continuously flowing in the rivers for decades and for centuries, they ultimately become into minute छोटे छोटे particles, and these छोटे छोटे and small particles is known as the soil. But this soil is not fit for growing the plants. ये soil बिल्कुल भी सही नहीं है plants को उगाने के लिए. अब आपके मन में क्वेश्चन आ रहा होगा why ये soil क्यों नहीं सही? Because इसके पीछे एक रीजन है, क्योंकि जो soil है वो इस बेसिकली इस वेदर पार्टिकल्स या फिर इन टूटे हुए छोटे पार्टिकल्स नहीं, बल्कि इसमें प्रेजेंट ऑर्गेनिक मैटर की वजह से अपना फूड ले पाते हैं और ग्रो कर पाते हैं. तो सेकंड पॉइंट है हमारा कि व्हाट आर द कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ सॉइल. सॉइल के कंपोनेंट्स क्या क्या हैं, सॉइल किन चीजों से बना है. नाउ द माइन्यूट पार्टिकल्स जो हमने पहले डिस्कस किए थे कि जो माउंटेन से गिरकर और स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स में कन्वर्ट हो जाते हैं, या फिर जो नदी में बहकर ओवर द टाइम दे कन्वर्ट देमसेल्व्स इनटू स्मॉलर पार्टिकल्स। तो वो स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स प्लस जो ऑर्गेनिक मैटर, जिसे कि हम साइंटिफिकली डेट्रिटस कहते हैं। Detritus is basically the dead and the decaying matter present inside the earth. अब ये dead and decaying matter प्लांट से भी मिल सकता है, एनिमल से भी मिल सकता है। जो ऑटम के मौसम में ट्रीज गिरते हैं, हमें उनसे भी डेट्रिटस मिलता है। और जितने भी ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड्स, इनऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड्स जो सॉइल में हमेशा ही रहते हैं, इनसे हमें डेट्रिटस मिलता है। तो अब बेसिकली जो माइन्यूट पार्टिकल्स या फिर जो स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स हैं, इससे सॉइल को एक स्ट्रक्चर मिलता है, और जो ऑर्गेनिक मैटर है उससे हमें लीफ के लिए या फिर जो प्लांट है उसके लिए हमें पूरा न्यूट्रिशन मिलता है। नाउ व्हाट इज द इम्पोर्टेंस? अब हमारे पास थर्ड टॉपिक आता है कि इम्पोर्टेंस क्या है डेट्रेटस या कि ऑर्गेनिक मैटर की और सॉइल के जो स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स हैं उसकी। पहले जो सॉइल के स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स हैं वो क्या करते हैं? दे बेसिकली गिव द स्ट्रक्चर टू द सॉइल, a hard structure to the soil, and gives like you have seen this, like this is the plant I have. तो इसका पॉट एक रेक्टेंगुलर पॉट है। तो अब इसमें इन कटिंग्स को, इस प्लांट को सपोर्ट देने के लिए जो हमारा काम आ रहा है, वो काम आ रहे हैं छोटे छोटे पार्टिकल। पर इसको फूड कौन दे रहा है? इसको फूड हमारा दे रहा है ऑर्गेनिक मैटर, या फिर जिसे हम डेट्रिटस कहते हैं। नाउ व्हाट इज द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ द ऑर्गेनिक मैटर? अब अर्थ के अंदर जो फूड है दैट एक्ट एज अ रेजर्वायर। रेजर्वायर मतलब कि एक खाने का भंडार। भंडार किसके लिए? फूड फॉर द प्लांट। तो जो ये डेट्रिटस का रेजर्वायर है अर्थ के अंदर, मिट्टी के अंदर या फिर धरती के अंदर, वो एक काम करता है पौधे के खाने का। मतलब कि जो पौधे को न्यूट्रिशन चाहिए ग्रोथ के लिए, उसके लिए। नाउ we are moving to another topic, that is need of detritus. अब हम detritus पर आ ही गए हैं, तो हम जान लेते हैं कि detritus की हमें जरूरत क्यों है सॉइल के अंदर। The first one is, आपको पता चल ही गया होगा कि detritus is responsible for providing nutrition, यानी कि detritus जो है वो न्यूट्रिशन पहुंचाने के काम आती है। मतलब कि जो प्लांट को फूड चाहिए वो छोटे छोटे सॉइल के पार्टिकल से नहीं, बल्कि जो डेट्रिटस है उस उससे मिलता है। नाउ जो स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स हैं उसके अंदर इनऑर्गेनिक पार्टिकल्स होते हैं, इनऑर्गेनिक एलिमेंट्स होते हैं। पर जो डेट्रिटस होता है उसके अंदर ऑर्गेनिक मैटर होता है। नाउ द सेकंड टॉपिक इज द नीड ऑफ डेट्रिटस। हमें डेट्रिटस की जरूरत क्यों है? क्योंकि जो soil particles हैं, this is not fit for growing of the plants. तो detritus क्या क्या करता है? We'll learn about 4 points. The first one is it loosen up the soil. ये जो टाइट मिट्टी होती है, यानी कि जो टाइट सॉइल के पार्टिकल्स जो आपस में बाइंड होते हैं, उसे लूज करने में हेल्प करता है। लूज करने से क्या होगा? जो एयर, जो प्लांट्स की रूट्स हैं, दैट कैन इजीली एरेट themselves, the roots can easily aerate themselves into the soil. Second point is it helps to hold the water. अब यहाँ पर जब हम soil के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, तो I want to make you introduce to a term that is water holding capacity, यानी कि मिट्टी की पानी को अपने अंदर समाये रखने की, अपने अंदर सोखने की क्षमता। यानी कि it help to hold the water means ये जो detritus है, ये जो organic matter है, ये क्या हमारी मदद करता है हमारी मिट्टी की या हमारे प्लांट की? This helps us to hold the water. That means it has a good water holding capacity. आप लोगों ने सोच लिया है, you always might have wondered that what makes the soil, one second, what makes the soil easier to dig? अगर ये सॉइल पार्टिकल्स या फिर जो सॉइल पार्टिकल्स स्मॉल माइन्यूट पार्टिकल्स हैं, अगर ये होंगे तो ये सिर्फ ये टाइम के साथ साथ बिकम सीमेंट एंड इसकी वजह से जो हमारी रूट्स हैं दे वोंट बी एबल टू एरेट देमसेल्व्स। तो इससे लिए हमें डेट्रिटस की जरूरत है ताकि जो हमारी सॉइल है वो इजीली डिग कर सके और उसमें पानी आराम से स्टोर रह सके। Now, third point is it becomes easier to dig. That means the weathered particles are not that much softer as compared to detritus. So whenever we dig the soil with some tool that is putty or something, तो उससे क्या होगा कि जो सॉइल है वो हमें डिग करने में आसानी रहेगी। Else with time it will convert itself into a hard substance जैसा कि सीमेंट होता है। तो इसलिए सॉइल में जो डेट्रिटस है उसकी बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है। और फोर्थ पॉइंट ये है जो हमने पहले भी डिस्कस कर लिया है दैट इट एक्ट एज द रेजर्वायर ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट्स, यानी कि ये न्यूट्रिएंट्स का एज अ रेजर्वायर काम करता है। अब अर्थ में हम तो अब मतलब देख रहे हैं पर बहुत सालों से अर्थ में ऑटम आ रही है, स्प्रिंग आ रही है, लीव्स गिर रहे हैं, ऑर्गेनिजम्स मर रहे हैं। दिस कंप्लीट इज अ साइकिल और इस साइकिल में जो न्यूट्रिएंट्स है दे गो बैक इनटू द अर्थ एंड गेट्स रिसाइकल्ड एंड बिकम्स द रिजर्वायर फॉर द प्लैनेट। और ये रिजर्वायर न्यूट्रिएंट्स का होता है। न्यूट्रिएंट्स हमारे प्लांट्स को हेल्प करते हैं किसमें, ग्रो करने में एंड थ्राइव करने में, as we have seen around me. Now, let's come to another topic that is different gardening needs have different types of soil. I would categorize this into four basic types. The first one is edible vegetable garden, यानी कि जो लोग सब्जियां उगाते हैं अपने घर या फिर the people who like to harvest from their garden. सेकेंड टाइप का गार्डन आता है जैसा कि आप मेरे आसपास देख सकते हो, दिस इज एन इंडोर फोलिएज गार्डन, मतलब कि घर के अंदर रहने वाला पत्तों वाला एक सॉर्ट ऑफ जंगल बना लेना या फिर अपने आसपास वो वाले प्लांट्स रख लेना। थर्ड टाइप जो मैं कैटेगराइज करूंगा दैट इज टेरेस फ्लावर गार्डन। दैट मीन्स हम टेरेस पर अगर कुछ लोगों को फ्लावर्स उगाना पसंद है लाइक रोजेस एंड वेरियस अदर फ्लावर्स, तो some people like to grow that also. A fourth type की gardening है balcony gardening, which is more into the trend right now because more of the people are shifting themselves into the flat and small compartments. So one by one we'll talk about all these soils. So let us begin one by one. The first one is the edible or the vegetable garden soil. So generally, I'm not talking about here the balcony gardening, but I'm talking about edible vegetable gardening. That means जो रूफटॉप पर लोग सब्जियां उगाना पसंद करते हैं। For that हमारी सॉइल जो होनी चाहिए that should be lighter in weight because वो हमारे टॉप पर छत के सबसे ऊपर रहेगी तो सॉइल को वेट में लाइटर होना चाहिए। द फर्स्ट पॉइंट इज दिस, नहीं तो छत पे ज्यादा वेट बढ़ने की वजह से हमारी छत बेंड भी हो सकती है। तो फर्स्ट पॉइंट आता है जब हम वेजिटेबल गार्डन की बात करते हैं दैट द सॉइल शुड ऑलवेज बी लाइटर इन वेट। और सेकंड हमारी प्रेफरेंस होनी चाहिए कि अब देखो जो टेरेस गार्डन पर प्लांट्स पड़े हैं दे रिसीव डायरेक्ट सनलाइट। When they receive direct sunlight, the rate of evaporation will be higher and the plants will get or the soil will get drier fast. तो इसलिए हमें कुछ ऐसी सॉइल चाहिए जो हमें क्या दे सके, एक ज्यादा वाटर होल्डिंग फैसिलिटी दे सके, मतलब कि जो अपने अंदर एक ऐसी मिट्टी जो अपने अंदर पानी को पकड़ने की क्षमता ज्यादा रख सके। तो what I had done to my terrace or what I had done on my terrace garden is that मैंने एक lighter soil that means cocopeat plus a soil that means जो अपने अंदर पानी स्टोर करके रख सके, that means the soil which is having a higher amount of water holding capacity in it. So I would suggest each one of you who are into the vegetable gardening or who wants to do vegetable gardening to use 50 to 50 ratio of vegetable that cocopeat and the common garden soil. तो 50:50 में क्या होगा दैट हमें वाटर होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी मिल जाएगी एंड 50% जो भार है मिट्टी का दैट विल आल्सो डिक्रीज बिकॉज वी हैव यूज्ड कोकोपीट। फॉर योर रेफरेंस दिस इज कोकोपीट, यू कैन सी दिस इज कोकोपीट, लाइक ये कोकोनट के हस्क से बनी होती है। We'll come further to these also, But now talking about the second type of garden, that is the indoor foliage plant. Like while growing indoor foliage gardens, you need to have the soil with more amount of coco peat plus soil and using compost also, because जो plants छत पर रहने वाले हैं, they'll get natural winds, natural rain, which has a lot of nutrients. But these indoor plants will not get rains repeatedly, तो इनको हमें अपनी तरफ से ही कंपोस्ट या फिर कोई फर्टिलाइजर प्रोवाइड करना पड़ता है. So I would suggest everyone, those who are doing indoor foliage gardening, to have coco peat plus soil and compost or some other fertilizer, as if you can use cow dung compost or other fertilizers. Now, coming to the third type of garden, that is terrace flower garden. Now, terrace flower garden is a very common type of gardening. Most of the houses do that. So I would suggest that go for the some kind of porous soil which can leave the water very fastly. Like आपने soil देखी होगी या फिर sand देखी होगी. Sand में जब हम पानी डालते हैं तो वो उसके pot के hole से बहुत ज्यादा जल्दी बाहर निकल आती है. तो this type of flowy soil और जिस soil water holding capacity ज्यादा ना हो, that type of soil is good for the flower garden. अब फ्लोई और साथ में पोरस सॉइल भी चाहिए. तो पोरस सॉइल के लिए वी कैन यूज इवन दी बजरी, दिस इज बजरी, or you can say gravel, or we can use some brick pieces also, like brick pieces, small brick pieces, so that it can make the soil more porous. And the third type of substituent that you can use is the coconut chips. These are the small coconut chips. What they does is put a small layer of this at the bottom of the pot. They'll hold the soil well, they'll hold the water well, as well as they'll make the soil more porous. तो इसीलिए आप टेरेस फ्लावर गार्डन के लिए एक ऐसी सॉइल चुनें जिसमें कि 50% गार्डन सॉइल, 25% कोकोपीट या फिर 25% ऑफ पेबल्स हो और बाकी नॉर्मल सैंड और फर्टिलाइजर यूज कर सकते हैं. Now, the fourth type of gardening, which is the most into the trend, that is balcony gardening. Now, depends upon whether your balcony is having is receiving good amount of sunlight or not. That depends upon you. That means the watering frequency, the frequency of the watering will also depend upon this. अगर आपकी balcony में ज़्यादा sunlight receive करती है, तो that means आपकी balcony को frequent watering चाहिए. और जब आपकी balcony में इतनी ज़्यादा sunlight नहीं आती है, तो that means the frequency of watering your plant should be even low. तो वैसे ही balcony gardening के लिए भी, if you are growing some sort of vegetables or some edible or foliage plants, or you can even grow some flowers and all, तो उसके लिए भी हमें as similar to the terrace flower gardening soil, that is flowing soil plus porous soil हमें चाहिए. Now, ये तो हमें पता चल गया कि different gardening goal के लिए different types की soil चाहिए. अब आपको कैसे चूज करना है कि what soil is good for you. Now, how to choose which is the best soil for your plant? Now, this also has categorized into 4 major points. First one is according to the plant. Second is place of planting. Third is according to the quality. And fourth is preparing the soil. Okay. So, coming to the first point, that is according to the plant. According to the plant. अब इसमें हमारा प्लांट क्या रिक्वायरमेंट मांगता है. नाउ सपोज ये एक जेड की बॉल टोपेरी है. तो जेड इज अ C4 सक्लेंट प्लांट. सक्लेंट प्लांट है मतलब कि इसकी वाटरिंग की नीड इतनी ज्यादा नहीं है. वेयरएज अगर हम इन प्लांट्स को देखें तो इनको वाटरिंग की ज्यादा जरूरत रहती है. लाइक दिस इज अ सिंगोनियम, दीज आर asparagus lace fern, some oxalis growing here and moss. तो इन सबको ज्यादा वाटरिंग चाहिए होती है. तो इसलिए हमें देखना पड़ता है अकॉर्डिंग टू प्लांट कि किस तरह की सॉइल हमें अपने प्लांट के लिए बनानी है. तो फर्स्ट वन इज, अगर आप उगा रहे हो प्लांट सच एज एरोइड, सच एज दिस एपिप्रिन्थम पिनेटम growing here, or some tomatophyllum bipinnatifidum, or some Monstera deliciosa like the aroids which need higher humidity. तो उसके लिए हमें ह्यूमिड सॉइल, दैट मीन्स हमें इसमें डेट्रेटस की क्वांटिटी और हमें इसमें कोकोपीट की क्वांटिटी काफी ज्यादा रखनी होगी as compared to the common garden soil. Yes, we have to add the common garden soil because it will provide the structure, the basic structure to the soil, but it cannot give the nutrition. तो इसलिए हमें soil plus cocopeat plus हमें इसमें detritus का यूज करना चाहिए. Now detritus में हम कुछ भी यूज कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि काउ डंग यूज कर सकते हैं or some sort of organic fertilizer, or even we can use homemade compost or खाद, even leaf mold compost, that is पत्ती की खाद, all we can use. तो सेकेंड इज अगर हम एरोइड उगा रहे हैं तो वी नीड सम सॉर्ट ऑफ ह्यूमिड सॉइल. पर यहीं पर अगर हम कुछ सक्यूलेंट्स, जैसे कि यू कैन सी अ टॉप्सी टर्वी एचिवेरिया ओवर हियर, दिस इज अ टॉप्सी टर्वी एचिवेरिया. तो इसको यू कैन आल्सो सी दैट द सॉइल इज वेरी वेरी ड्राई. तो इसको एक ड्राई सॉइल चाहिए ना. ड्राई सॉइल में इसको पोरस, I would like to show you the pot for Echeveria. The pots which I recommend to people is this pot. Look, this is having a lot of holes in it, ताकि जितना भी पानी है इसके अंदर that can easily come out through it. तो इसीलिए हमें सक्लेंट्स या फिर कैक्टाई के लिए कुछ ऐसी सॉइल चाहिए जो कि बहुत फ्लोई हो, जिसमें वाटर होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी बहुत कम हो और वो ह्यूमिड भी ना हो. तो इसीलिए what we can do is put a layer of the gravel और बजरी की फर्स्ट लेयर डाल के हम उसके ऊपर थोड़ी सी गार्डन सॉइल डाल के और फिर बाकी की हम इसमें लेयर कर सकते हैं सैंड के साथ, ताकि लेवलिंग के साथ वो एक एज अ सॉइल बेड बन जाए. जैसे कि जो ये है ग्रेवल है वो एज एक्ट करे कि वो वापस चला जाए पानी उसमें. We'll come to this point also later on, but for cacti and succulent, we need the type of soil that is more flowy with less amount of water holding capacity. Now, if we are growing perennial plants such as you can see this areca palm growing around me, this ficus bonsai, or these aglaonemas that I'm propagating, all these for all these perennial plants or for all these evergreen plants, you need to use the soil which is more common but with more nutrition. Like हम सिंपल गार्डन सॉइल के साथ इसमें हम यूज कर सकते हैं कुछ ऐसी फर्टिलाइजर्स जिसके साथ इन्हें ज्यादा न्यूट्रिशन मिले. अब ये foliage plants हैं like this one and all these. All around me are foliage ones except this one. This is having a flower here. So this is a canary plant or an oleander plant. तो इसके एक्सेप्ट बाकी जितने भी foliage plants हैं they need a nitrogen rich fertilizer. तो nitrogen rich fertilizer के लिए हम कुछ भी leaf mold compost या फिर cow dung compost easily add कर सकते हैं और हमारे plants की growth बहुत अच्छी होगी. Like I used to put only cow dung compost and vermicompost here, and this monstera gives new leaf like after every 1 to 2 weeks, and it is growing really very fast. So you can also try nitrogen rich fertilizers. It is also available on the store of the affordable organic store. You can also check their website if you want to buy. Now coming to the place of planting. As I've told that is it your terrace garden or your balcony or your indoor place where you want to grow plants. That depends where you are planting the plant. That means आपकी सनलाइट की कितनी रिक्वायरमेंट है. अब सनलाइट जितनी ज्यादा होगी उतनी फ्रीक्वेंटली उसे वाटर देना पड़ेगा. जितनी फ्रीक्वेंटली उसे वाटर देना पड़ेगा दैट मीन्स उसकी वाटर होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी उतनी कम है. और अगर वो एक ब्राइट लिट प्लेस या फिर सनलाइट वाली प्लेस में पड़ा होगा तो दैट मीन्स वहां पर उसको हीट भी ज्यादा मिलती है. तो हमें अब देखना है जब ये जेड 8 टोपियरी है तो दिस अ सक्लेंट प्लांट. तो इसके लिए हमें sunny spot चाहिए, but with low watering it can also survive. But plants which are very delicate, such as even at the back you can see my philodendron growing there, या फिर this Hamatophyllum bipinnatifidum, these need less sunlight with more amount of watering. तो इसके लिए हमें The location of the planting should also be the ideal one. नहीं तो it will have severe burns like this plant. You can see severe burns on this plant. This is because I have placed the plant on the wrong location. I have placed this plant on my terrace, and due to direct sunlight, it got burned. But rest of the plants were all in my veranda, so they were not receiving any sort of light, like any sort of direct brightest light. So they are all doing fine. Now, third is the quality of the soil. Now, the quality of soil that suits your climate, that suits your area, or which is natively found in your area, will be better. Like हमारे पंजाब में, I live in लुधियाना पंजाब, हमारे यहाँ पर alluvial soil native है. तो alluvial soil में plants बेटर कर रहे हैं एज कम्पेयर टू अदर मीडियम. जैसे मैंने यहाँ पर पीट मॉस का यूज किया हुआ. इन दिस स्प्रे गार्डन आई हैव यूज पीट मॉस. तो पीट मॉस इज एक्चुअली नॉट like basically for my place, but I am stimulating it in the conditions like this, तो इसीलिए ये अच्छा चलता है. Now, या फिर रेड सॉइल है. रेड सॉइल इज फ्रॉम द east side or from the Maharashtra side, Pune side. So red soil plants, like the plants which are more native, like in Mumbai and in Pune, there is more humidity. So plants which like to have more humidity will do better in the red soil, such as with other soils as well. As example, जो cactuses and succulents है, they'll do better in the desert area because desert area has sandy soil. तो इसीलिए according to the quality of the soil पर भी ये बहुत. Now, for all these requirements to need to us, we need to prepare the soil. अब किस तरह की soil हमें prepare करनी है अपने gardening work देखने के लिए. So if you want to jot these points in your notebook or somewhere on your notepad, you can surely do because they'll help you out. I request each one of you watching there to take out your notebooks or notepads and jot out these points. Like I'll be telling the points which are important to you, like which will help you in the journey of gardening. So you can go for writing, or even you can listen to me if you can get it, or even you can imitate myself. Now the categorization of soil. I categorize four types of soil. Like there are so many types of soil, but I personally categorize soil into four basic types. The first one is the sandy soil. The second one is the clayey soil. Third one is the peaty soil, and the fourth one is the loamy soil. Now coming the first soil, that is the sandy soil. Talking about the sandy soil ज़्यादातर यूज होती है cactuses and succulents में. So what is the problem, or what is the disadvantage about the sand or the sandy soil? जब हम repeated watering करते हैं sandy soils में या फिर sand में, तो what happens is जो पानी है उसका pore size या फिर जो ये है मिट्टी है उसका pore size बहुत छोटा होने की वजह से वो गमले के होल में से with time निकलता रहता है and the quantity of the soil get less with the year. So what I suggest is, um, or what I can tell you is, the first problem with the sandy soil is that it gets flowed away with repeated watering or with repeated rain. And secondly, it gets warmed up very fast in the summer. So like if you are growing some very delicate plants such as this monstera or this epipremnum tenatum, so these sort of plants, the soil will get hotter and hotter, the sand will get hotter and hotter, the roots will get hotter, and ultimately the plants will get severe burn. So these are like sandy soil. Now, sandy soil do not mean to use the soil 100% with the sand. No, this doesn't mean that. Always use the ratio of 60 to 40. 60 to 40 is a good ratio because it balances out each and everything. Like if I'm saying sandy soil, so the sand should be on the major side. For sandy soil composition, you need to put 60% sand and 40% of the soil. ताकि जो हमारा सॉइल कॉम्पोजिशन है वो ज्यादा अच्छा और मोर न्यूट्रिटिव बन सके. और जो सैंडी सॉइल है इसमें न्यूट्रिएंट्स पहले से इतने ज्यादा नहीं होते, इसलिए वी नीड टू ऐड फर्टिलाइजर्स आफ्टर सम टाइम. So please jot down if you want to do it that sandy soil is best for potatoes, carrots, zucchini, bulbous plants, tulips, and hibiscus. And cacti such as opuntias and mammillarias and also good for the succulents as well. And yes, as I've told you, not to use the 100% composition of the sand because that won't lead to the good soil composition. Always use the ratio of 60 to 40. Okay. Have you jotted down? I shall repeat them also. For growing in sandy soil, you must go for potatoes, carrot, zucchini, bulbous plants, and such as tulips, and you can also go for hibiscus in the sandy soil. And succulents and cactuses such as opuntia and mammillaria. Now, moving to the second type of soil, that is clay soil. Now, clay soil has additional nutrients, but there is a disadvantage also in this that it gets warmed up slowly, uh, but poor at drainage because the particle size of the clay soil is comparatively larger than that of the common garden soil and that of the sand. तो इसीलिए जो clay soil है उसकी water retaining capacity बहुत ज्यादा है तो इसीलिए और ये वार्म अप भी बहुत जल्दी हो जाती है तो इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा फ्यूअर एयर स्पेसेस होती हैं और जब ये सॉइल ड्राई होती है इट बिकम्स रॉकी एंड हार्ड एंड इट इज व्हेन वेट इट बिकम्स लम्पी सो दिस soil is good for like fruits and for the perennial plants. For instance, let me show you. This bonsai is in the clay soil. That means, and you can also see this, that the soil is somewhat wet. So this type of soil is the clay soil, which is good for bonsais even. You can also use gritty soil for the bonsais. That also works well. But I'm just trying out with the bonsais this time, so I'm using the clay soil. And clay soil does the best with the fruit plants and with the perennial plants. Now, coming to the third soil, that is the peaty soil. Peaty, peaty soil. That means a soil which has more amount of peat or you can say moss in it. So what basically moss is, in this tray garden or in this fairy garden, you can see green colored grass laying in it. This is peat, peat moss. So this is also known as maybe the kai in the vernacular language, but it is peat moss. So if some soil has peatiness or some soil has some sort of sponginess to it, this type of soil is known as the peaty soil. This soil is acidic in nature. ये soil nature में acidic है. ये soil acidic nature में है. So as to balance the pH, हमें इसमें compost डालना होगा और चूना डालना होगा. That means lime डालना होगा to make or to balance out the pH content. Usually, the plants like to have somewhat basic soil or neutral soil. But plants such as roses or high humidity loving plants such as anthurium or xanthomonaces, they all love peaty soil or monsteras even love peaty soil. So this soil is very damp and it also gets heated up but still retains the water in it. So for like propagations and for cuttings, you can always go for these peaty soil. Also in the moss or in the peat, there comes a sphagnum moss which is more into the use. So sphagnum moss, what it does it has like 80 to 90% or maybe more than that water holding capacity in it. So the plants which need very much humidity around themselves. They need peaty soil. For adding peaty soil, you can always use this sky or you can use that sphagnum moss or other mosses available at the internet. Even the sphagnum mosses may be available at the organic store, their website. You can also check it out. And peaty soil is best for humidity loving plants as I have stated earlier and it is also good for salad plants. तो सैलेड प्लांट्स के लिए भी ये बहुत अच्छी रहती है और 4 टाइप ऑफ सॉइल जो हम देखेंगे दैट इज द सॉइल विच इज लोमी सॉइल लोमी सॉइल भी एसिडिक है, मीन वो रोजेस को उगाने के लिए बहुत अच्छी है। ये सॉइल जितनी भी आउटडोर हमारे प्लांट्स होते हैं या फिर जितने भी अर्थ में प्लांट्स होते हैं वो वाली सॉइल होती है। ये सॉइल पेरेनियल, दैट मीन्स द प्लांट विच वुड स्टे फॉरएवर, उनको उगाने के लिए बहुत हेल्पफुल रहती है। दिस सॉइल इज गुड फॉर roses and for trees. Now, we are coming or we are now discussing the different types of soil substrate. Now, I'm going
Uh,
to show you some of,
Aditya,
yes,
I want to interrupt in between. So we have a lot of questions regarding soil. So let's take some questions here and then we can continue. Okay. So one question that we have here, like, can we grow plants only in organic matter?
plants do grow well. I won't say well. Plants do grow in fully organic matter, but giving more of the nutrition to it, that would lead some amount of abnormalities to the plant, like according to me or according to my experience, जब मेरे खाद वाले मटके में कोई भी plant उग जाता है, when it gets germinated, तो after germinating the plants get very well, like it is in good condition because it is getting ample of nutrients. पर क्या होता है कि कुछ टाइम के बाद प्लांट के लीव्स या फिर बहुत बड़े साइज के होने लग जाते हैं या फिर प्लांट में छोटी छोटी एबनॉर्मेलिटीज आनी शुरू हो जाती हैं विच वी डोंट नीड। जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने एक बार मे बी सम सॉर्ट ऑफ पल्स का सीड मैंने उसमें डाल दिया था, तो आफ्टर सम टाइम इट स्टार्टेड टू गिव clusters of flowers, which was some sort of abnormal thing. So I won't suggest you to grow completely into the organic matter. आप उसमें थोड़ा सा गार्डन सॉइल का यूज जरूर कीजिए। As I told you, use the soil by the ratio 60:40.
Okay. Okay. So one person is asking over here that what soil you should suggest to use in grow bags.
Okay. For the grow bags, I would like to suggest that always have 3 to 4 drainage holes in them. Like drainage hole is very important because grow bags are the sort of thing जिसमें कि पानी अंदर बहुत देर तक रह जाता है और वो रूट्स को एरेट, मतलब कि रूट्स के अंदर एयर नहीं आने देता। तो इसीलिए हमें कुछ ऐसी सॉइल चाहिए जो ज्यादा फ्लोई हो, पोरस हो। अब फ्लोई एंड पोरस के लिए वी कैन ऑलवेज यूज लाइक 20% ऑफ द सैंड, 50% of the garden soil, and if you can use if you want to use coco peat, then you can use it if the sunlight is direct to your house or to the place where you are growing them, तो आप उसमें कोको पीट का भी यूज कर सकते हैं। एंड ऑर्गेनिक मैटर इज द मस्ट इफ यू आर ग्रोइंग वेजिटेबल्स और सम सॉर्ट ऑफ plants which bear fruits in them.
Okay. Okay. So one person is asking that how do you manage the pH level of your soil?
Okay, as I've told you in the topic PT soil, that the soil is acidic. So there is a pH meter also. You can check it. You can check it on the online websites as well. There is a pH scale available. So generally the soil which you can fetch from the roads or growing or like lying on the roads or somewhere on the barren land. So that soil is basically not basic or neutral. That soil is acidic in nature. So to make it basic, generally the soil you will get is acidic in nature. But if you want to make it basic in nature, you can always add lime. Lime is not nimbu or lemon, it is tuna and some amount of compost. Here I won't say any inorganic fertilizer because that too may add acidity to the soil. So इसीलिए आप homemade compost का ही use करें ताकि आप अपनी soil को basic बना पाए।
Okay. So we have one question that would you like suggest something in the terms of soil and water for peace lily plant?
Okay, according to my experience, I'm not this much good with the peace lilies until now, but yes, what I would suggest you is have the soil which is having more water holding capacity. That means you can use some sort of coco peat or some coconut husk in that at the bottom. Or if you are using coco peat, then you can mix within the soil. Also, keep the peace lily plant in indirect light place because some of my peace lilies are dying because of the direct sunlight. So I would suggest you to use 60% garden soil, 40% cocoa peat, and rest of the composition you can fill up with the fertilizer or with some organic compost. That will be good composition for peace lilies.
Okay. Okay. So Shivangi is asking over here that can you please suggest soil mix or a potting mix for better germination? Like what should he or she add in potting mix?
So hello Shivangi. So your question is very genuine. Actually, I used to also face this problem as a beginner. So germination करवाने के लिए what you can do is always use 100%. I won't say 100%. Use at least 90% of the coco peat and 10% of the soil, so that it gets germinate faster. तो क्या होता है जब कोको पीट है और सैंड है दे बोथ आर वेरी एरेटिंग सॉइल, तो जो हमारी रूट्स डेवलप सॉफ्ट रूट्स डेवलप होने वाली होंगी दे कैन इजीली पेनिट्रेट इनटू द सॉइल. अगर हम कॉमन गार्डन सॉइल यूज करेंगे तो द सॉफ्ट रूट्स won't be able to get penetrated through them very easily. So that's why I would suggest you to use 80 or 90% of coco peat with 10% of sand. And always remember that use a smaller container for the germination. And after that, transplant it to the bigger container. Yes, ma'am.
That's a great thing, Aditya. You focused on a lot of good points over here because for germination, like people has to use very soft soil, and the cocoa peat gives better germination
Yes.
if we are doing with the seeds. So, okay, so we have another question over here. Do we really need to add perlite in soil?
Yes. Perlite also makes the soil lighten. Actually, right now I'm not available with the perlite, but some other day or whenever we'll meet further, I'll surely discuss about perlite also. Now I'll tell about what is the basic fundamental of perlite. Perlite makes the soil more lighter and more porous so that water can easily pass through the soil. So perlite का basic purpose बस यही रहता है. It does not provide any nutrition to the soil, yet it can provide phosphorus to the soil or phosphorus to the plant. पर perlite का basic यही रहता है that it provides more porosity and more flowiness to the soil. So that's it.
Okay. Okay, so Shivangi is asking that she has tried lettuce iceberg, and it haven't germinate yet from past 8 days. So, would you like to suggest something for lettuce iceberg?
Shivangi, for salad plants, I would suggest you to grow them somewhat sphagnum moss, or like I'll show you something. This. This is peat moss, commonly growing around our water tanks or somewhere where is damp and very like the mall is very watery over there. So you can always use peat moss or sphagnum moss. You can order it online. You can use that because salad plants, as you were saying, iceberg lettuce. So this is a salad plant basically. It needs an acidic soil. For making the soil acidic, you can always use a onion peel fertilizer. I'll tell you the recipe for the onion peel fertilizer. Now, while cutting some onions, take a few peels from the dry peels of the onion, put that into water and close it for 1 to 2 days. 2 days will be fine. And then after 2 days, just dilute the solution and just give it to your plants. The soil will genuinely become acidic in nature. So for salad plants, you can always use this acidic soil.
Okay. Okay. So, since you suggested people to make compost at your home, and a lot of people make compost at their home, so how and at which stage they should add that compost in their garden or in their pot? So, this is one question.
Okay, ma'am. So what happens is generally compost takes like I live in northern India, Punjab. तो यहाँ पर sunlight और heat काफी ज्यादा रहती है. That means if heat is more, more will be the bacteria in it, and hence more will be the rate of decomposition. तो मेरे यहाँ पर 2 to 2.5 months में और 3 months में एक अच्छा compost ready हो जाता है. After the compost is ready, you can just open it और फैला दीजिए उसी किसी चादर के ऊपर ताकि वो थोड़ा ड्राई अप हो जाए. और उसके बाद एक छाननी लेकर और some net you can take and just filter through it. Like I take a plastic basket because it has like somewhat larger holes in it. So you can just filter all those things. The compost will fall down and the things or the things which are not uh, perfectly like digested will stay inside the basket only, and you can recompose them. So the soil or the compost which will go downside will be best for the plants. Like this will be the accurate stage for using it into the plants. And yes, I am having another substitute with me. Like in January, we had stored peas for the year. So these are peas. You can see these are dried black peas, completely dried, completely. So you can always use this also at the bottom because peas, जो peas के छिलके होते हैं, that act a very good source of nitrogen as well. तो इससे हमें नाइट्रोजन बहुत अच्छा मिलता है, as well as ये हमारे organic matter में भी काम करता है, and yes, it can also contribute as a detritus for the soil.
Okay, so apart from peas leaves, would you like to suggest something like which we can store like this and we can use it later, Aditya?
Pardon, ma'am?
So I am saying that as you shown us that we can store these peas leaf and we can use it in the base of our pot as you have shown right now.
Actually, ma'am,
Yeah.
these are मटर की फलियां, what we say,
Yeah.
मटर.
करेक्ट सो इज देयर इज एनी अदर थिंग जो कि हम यहाँ पे स्टोर करके रख सकते हैं इसके अलावा अगर हमें ये नहीं मिलता तो
Peas is generally like the ideal one I which I prefer, but you can also go for like the cucumber peels and all. But they'll like with the time they'll get decomposed into compost only. So I would suggest that peas does better because this acts as a very good source for nitrogen. So even we
okay
can use fruit peels also. That will also act as a good detergent.
okay okay and one person is asking that can we put kitchen garbage. I'm not sure whether he's asking directly so like maybe I would try to complete the question over here that जो भी हम लोग घर में सब्जी वगैरह छीलते हैं फ्रूट्स वगैरह छीलते हैं तो उसका जो पील होता है क्या वो हम डायरेक्टली अपने प्लांट्स में डाल सकते हैं uh, yes.
हाँ, तो इसके पीछे देखो दैट मीन्स हम डाल दैट इज कम्प्लीटली योर विश फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बट व्हाट आई वुड सजेस्ट टू यू कि जो ये अगर आप फ्रेश वेजिटेबल पील्स इसके ऊपर डाल देंगे तो इट विल अट्रैक्ट अ लॉट ऑफ इंसेक्ट्स एंड अ लॉट ऑफ unwanted pests to your plant and can lead to mealybug or some sort of insect infestation also. तो आप इसको कंपोस्टिंग ही करें rather than to use directly because what will they'll do is the fresh mass like if I broke this leaf it will act as a fresh mass, but if I take one this piece. So what will this is a dry matter. So dry matter don't attract the insects or the pollinators. So the fresh matter or the fresh waste will not act as a good source of nutrition. Whether but this will act, that is the dry mass will act as a good because this is completely decomposed. That is not decomposed at all. This is fresh at the moment. So I would recommend to use only the compost or only whatever which is composed or decomposed that you can use.
Okay. Okay. So here, Meru Jen is asking that whenever I repot a plant, leaves started drooping and eventually the plant starts to die. So please suggest how to repot a plant and what precautions to take.
Uh, so if ma'am, if we are left with time, can I take 5 minutes?
Yeah, we have 10 minutes, Aditya. We can take
Okay, ma'am.
10 15 minutes
Just
view.
let me show a quick repotting also. Shall I repot an aglonema or a succulent? What do you prefer? Like repotting aglonema will be much faster than repotting a succulent.
So
So,
let's go with aglonema only, Aditya.
so for repotting the plants, always make sure that the plant is having drainage holes at the bottom, so that अगर पानी हम इसमें डालें तो वो पानी इसमें स्टैग्नेंट ना रहे, खड़ा ना रहे, इंस्टेड वो इसके नीचे से हमेशा बहकर चला जाए। तो फर्स्ट स्टेप जो है इसमें वो है कि हम इसमें बजरी डाल सकते हैं। बजरी इज द ग्रेवल। तो ग्रेवल क्या करेगा, ये हमारी सॉइल मोर पोरस बनाएगा। So first of all, we'll add first layer of gravel to it. I have some more pebbles. Actually, the gravel was not available in my area, so I'm using some pebbles also. So first layer will take for these gravel and pebbles. Now, after that, we can use the common garden soil. This garden soil, look at it, the common garden soil that we can find everywhere. We can put the second layer of it. Layering in the pot makes a complete soil bed for the plant. Now, after that, I'm using this organic matter or the detritus that will act as a water absorbent as well as will provide the nutrients to the plant. So I'll put some of it. You can see it is very, very lightweight. It can be compressed even. It is very light and fully decomposable. And after that, to add some more water holding capacity, we have this coco peat with us. We can also add coco peat. Now, after repot, like after putting this much of soil, you can see here, I have put like about 40% of the soil in it. After putting 40% of the soil, what you can do is, like I'm having an aglonema cutting with me. So this is a fully rooted cutting, as you can see, a fully rooted cutting. Just place the plant very gently into the pot. Like after filling the 40% pot with the soil, you can add this, the plant or whatever plant. If you are buying a pot with a plant with a pot, like this is a succulent in a pot. If you are buying this in a plastic ki thali or something like pot like this, so what you can do is you can simply do it like this, invert the pot, make it or push the soil one to two times out, and you can simply take this out like this. Do not disturb the root ball if you are a beginner. Just do it like this.
So,
Okay,
Aditya, I would like to interrupt to help people. So, is the succulent soil is little like watery because it comes out so simple from the pot. So, is it watered or is it dried soil for the
and
succulent that you came out?
now,
Like,
let me just take 1 to 2 minutes for this repotting. I will
sure,
come
sure,
to this one
definitely,
for
definitely,
question
definitely.
one for succulents and all.
Okay.
And after that, after putting, I'll put rest of the soil into it. तो जब हमने soil इसमें डाल दी, तो जितना इसका ये rim है, हम soil इतनी डालेंगे because इसमें पानी भी डालना है. Do not fill the sand over till here. इसमें हम sand भी डालेंगे ताकि इसकी soil थोड़ी porous रहे. And after that, इसको इस प्लांट को हम थोड़े दिन शेड में भी रख सकते हैं. शेड मीन्स हम इसे इनलेट प्लेस या फिर छाया में रख सकते हैं ताकि ये कुछ दिनों बाद एक्लेटामाइज होकर और वापस हम इसको सनलाइट में ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं. अब रीपॉटिंग के बाद व्हाट वी कैन डू इज we can just simply keep it in a shady place so that ये अपने आप को नए माहौल में एडजस्ट कर पाए. एंड यस, वन मोर इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट इज जब भी आप नर्सरी से नए प्लांट्स लाए तो आप उनको 4 to 5 days अप्रोक्सीमेटली अपने घर में एक्लेमेटाइज होने का मौका दें, यानी कि अपने घर के एनवायरनमेंट से उन्हें मिलवाएं, यानी कि उन्हें उसमें एडजस्ट करवाएं. So this is all about repotting the plant. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so like first question is here from my side also that how old this cutting of aglonema, how much time it took to build up the roots?
So as you can see, it is a pretty well-rooted cutting. Like this much roots can easily live into the soil. So this is maybe a 2 to 3 week old cutting. Maybe 2 to 3 week old cutting because just to you need to know this only कि हमें water जो है after every 3 to 4 days बाद change करना पड़ेगा. else जो पानी है वो stagnant रह जाएगा और हमारी propagation जो है वो fail होने के chances हो सकते हैं. तो while propagating just keep in mind कि जो आपका water है वो आप change करते रहें after 3 to 4 days.
Okay, okay. And the second, I was asking about this succulent plant that you inverted just in front of us for taking it out. So, मुझे ये पूछना था कि जैसे आपने succulent को अभी हमारे सामने निकाला, तो उसका जो soil था, वो थोड़ा सा wet था या फिर वो पूरा dry था? क्योंकि अगर dry soil होगा तो I think वो पूरा खुल जाएगा, उसका roots
नहीं
अलग-अलग हो जाए.
मैम ये ड्राई सॉइल था. I'm coming to the
Okay, okay.
now the special potting mixes for different types of plants.
Okay, so we have Aditya mostly 10 minutes to complete this workshop. So I would say just cut down and explain it in fast if it is possible.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay,
So,
okay.
to all the viewers, if you want to note it down, you can do it because this will be very helpful to you all. So, please take out your notepads and notebooks where you will all write this. Now, the potting soil for sensitive areas or for the snake plants or very hardy plants. This is for all hardy plants, but I use preferably for the sensitive areas or for the snake plants. Use 30% perlite. Use 30% perlite, 40% coco peat, and 30% compost. For sensitive areas, use 30% perlite, 40% coco peat, and 30% compost. For orchids, you can use charcoal, cocoa chips, and brick pieces. For orchids, you can use cocoa chips, charcoal, and brick pieces in equal proportion. Now, for the potting mix of cacti or succulents, you can use. I have used this soil for this Propsy area. I have used this soil composition only. That it consists of coco peat, perlite, brick chips, charcoal, and compost in equal amounts. I repeat, I used coco peat, perlite, brick chips, charcoal, and compost. Now, last but not the least, potting soil for perennials and annuals. You can use common garden soil, compost, and coco peat. Just make sure that coco peat की quantity आपकी amount of sunlight और आपकी frequency of watering पे depend करनी चाहिए. So I think and I hope that आप सबने ये वाली potting mixes लिख लिए होंगे. If you want, then you can also go to my Instagram handle that is theplantomaniac और वहाँ से आप कोई भी free suggestion, plant related free suggestion कोई भी ले सकते हैं like potting soil and all. अब लास्ट टॉपिक पे जल्दी से आ जाते हैं दैट इज व्हाट आर द कॉमन एडिटिव्स. अब सॉइल में हमें अमेंडमेंट्स भी करनी पड़ती है, सॉइल में चेंजेस करने पड़ते हैं जिसकी वजह से हमारी सॉइल की क्वालिटी ज्यादा बेटर हो जाए. फर्स्ट वन इज वी कैन यूज वेस्ट प्लांट मटेरियल लाइक ओल्ड लीव्स, घास जो हम काटते हैं वो, पुराने पत्ते एंड ऑल. इनको थोड़ा ड्राई करके वी कैन ऑलवेज यूज इट लाइक ड्राई घास, ड्राई पत्ते वी कैन ऑलवेज यूज देम एज सॉइल कॉमन एडिटिव. नाउ ऑर्गेनिक मैटर, जैसे ऑर्गेनिक मैटर मैंने कोई कंपोस्ट डाल ली, काउडंग कंपोस्ट डाल दी, या फिर जैसे मैंने पीस डाली, पीस के छिलके डाले थे वो भी हम डाल सकते हैं. एंड थर्ड वन इज सॉडस्ट. सॉडस्ट क्या होता है, जब वुडवर्क होता है तो उसमें से जो लकड़ी का बुरादा निकलता है, लकड़ी का बुरादा कैन ऑल्सो एक्ट एज वेरी लाइक अ सब्स्टिट्यूएंट ऑफ कोकोपीट, यू कैन से a substituent coco peat. But for sawdust, I would suggest do not put a layer more than 4 inches. Do not put a layer more than 4 inches because what will happen is it will rob the nitrogen from the soil. So if you put somewhat thinner soil, thinner layer of soil, that will act a good amendment to the soil. Now tilling of the soil is also very important. Now we have talked about different types of soil and everything. Tilling of soil is also very important. It gives air to the plant, to the roots of the plant. So at this note, I'm over with my workshop. So if you have any queries or any questions related to it, you can surely go ahead.
Okay, one last question I would like to take Aditya from Ruhi. So she's saying that she has recently purchased dahlia seeds. So would you like to suggest soil for that? Like,
Uh, like these are seasonal plants first of all. So these sort of plants need not to be grown in out season. Like this time is not like ideal for growing dahlias. But if in your region there is cold colder climate, then you can also grow it right this time. But I would suggest like if you are living somewhere in the northern India or in the central India, do not grow dahlias this time. Like at this point of time, just grow it in the winters when winters will come. So for growing dahlias, first just germinate the seeds into those coco peat and soil 90:10, and then after 20 days when it will get like 4 to 5 leaves at least, just transfer the sapling into the larger pot and
Okay.
keep it in partial sunlight.
Okay. Okay. So one more last question. Priyata is asking that my hibiscus plant is 4 year old. It is in pot. This the leaves are falling badly and no flowering. So plant looks healthy, but is it the soil of the problem? Would you like to suggest something?
Actually, generally, what happens with hibiscus, like this happens to me, hibiscus, my hibiscus also. So, what happens is hibiscuses are more prone to mealybug, like these are some sort of insects. Hibiscuses are more prone to like those mealybugs and ants. So, always use neem oil or some neem solution for that, or you can always go for soap solution for that. So neem oil is also available on the website of the Affordable Organic Store. You can always try it.
Okay, so I would like to close here with the questions, Aditya, because people are still asking a lot of things, but I would like them to suggest to visit Aditya's channel named Plant to Manic, and we have already shared the link in the chat. You can always visit his channel and grab a lot of knowledge regarding soil, and even you can ask your questions to him directly over there if you are left with some. So thank you, Aditya, for doing this workshop with us with the Affordable Organic Store, and
Thank
we
you.
wish you a safe environment and healthy environment. And the last thing, your plant looks very healthy, very amazing, and like wish you all the best for your healthy garden.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am. Thank you for taking your time out for hearing and for lending me your ears. Thank you everyone who have watched this video. And you can
okay.
also follow me on my Instagram handle, that is the Plantomania. Thank you everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining this workshop. Thank you, guys.